So this is most of my creation over the past couple of years for the Harry Potter Hogwarts theme escape room, my basement workroom. Thought I might take a little video run through a few photos. This is a shot of my Knock Knock or Hedwig theme box. Opens by tapping out Hedwig's theme. This is my Niffler box. It's a 4-piece RFID box that opens when you put the correct shiny objects with the correct Nifflers through like a logic puzzle. This is my chess. It's Ron's chess game from the first movie. You're given a setup for the board, and you have to follow the game and move the pieces in the correct spots. So it's an RFID board that gives you some clues and lights up there. If you need to repeat the clue, you use your wand and tap this area. That corner queen is just to place that figure to turn on the box. And it opens on this side for the next clue. We've got a Alohomora box that has a LCD and a voice command feature, as well as a motion sensor that is right there. This one, you just have to say the password, which is one of the Harry Potter passwords for the fat lady, and then the name of the spell, which is Alohomora, and then you have to do the spell motions in the proper configuration to open the bottom half of the box. Let's see, we've got Diagon Alley. Those are some of the Niffler things that'll be inside that box, but this one is based on the I can't remember the name of the game now. The game that says, in this case, it's Harry Potter's voice says, tap the first brick. And it'll say, tap the yellow brick. And then it'll say, tap the same color that you tapped in the second stage. And it goes through a few stages. And if you get them all right, the bottom lights here are just tracking, get them all right, the box lifts with an actuator. That one's my Diagon Alley. This is the Defense Against the Dark Arts. This one is basically fun with remote control with infrared. So I programmed one of the Harry Potter remotes. It's a magic wand remote with my infrared reader right there, and it'll randomly spit out, in this case, I think it's 10. So we'll keep track of 10 spells in just an LED strip down here. And if they get it right, it'll turn green. And then the second one, if it turns green, if they get it right, or if they get it wrong, it'll turn red. And you got to get all 10 in a row, and then the box opens up. And it might be like, he'll say Incendio, and that one's push the one forward. Reducto means you got to push the one back. And it gives you like 3 seconds. The little light here in the middle turns from red to green during the 3 seconds. And you get it wrong, you get the red light and you got to do it over. Kind of fun one, Defense Against the Dark Arts class. This is my Wingardium Leviosa box. It's on the top. It's very similar to the Alohomora. It's got the voice recognizer components, a LCD display, and a gesture recognition module in there. Similar, you got to do password, you got to say the spell, and then you got to do the right motion movement. This one just has an actuator instead, so it'll lift up, and the next clues are inside on that box. This is my Patronus box. This one has a couple different components. These lights here on the bottom you can cycle through. So use your magic wand, which is, just has a read sensor. You kind of can tap there or, touch near it or wave your wand in front of it. And it'll cycle through different colors like red, orange, yellow, blue, green, purple. And you have to get the right pattern of colors on the bottom. So it might be like this one's red, this one's blue, that one's yellow. And that's based on just a clue that they're given. Once you get that sequence right, then you have to, it turns to like a sound sensor. My sound sensor is over here. And you just have to get the volume up enough. And these kind of show you how loud you are. So you have to get them all lit up to like green, I think it is. And you have to hold it for 3 seconds. So basically you're shouting the spell. And then once that's done, I got a little motion sensor over here, and you just have to do the correct wand motion for Patronus, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but it might be like a big clockwise motion. The LCD kind of gives you directions on, yell or now do the wand spell. When all that happens, it triggers a relay which spins this, I can't remember what it's called. It's a little LED spinner, and then that projects. It just looks like a Patronus. In this case, it's like a wolf. And then, that's their clue for the next puzzle. This one is it's a decanting, I call it a potions puzzle, potion mixing. It's not really mixing, it's decanter. Based off of, all these are mostly based off Alistair's different puzzles. I certainly appreciate all that. This one is similar, but instead of having cables to connect and transfer from one flask, and you can see they have, like this one has 8 LEDs. This one's got 5, and that one's got 3. So when you turn it on, you got to transfer. This one will be full with 8, and you got to somehow figure out how to get 4 in one of the flasks, based on a kind of a classic puzzle. And in order to do so, and this time you're using wands instead of cables, so you first will a reed switch. You can tap from one, there's just reed switches here, and transfer to the next. And if that's what you want to do, and the LCD will tell you if it's possible or not, then you do, this is another motion sensor. In this case, it's the Aquamenti, which is just kind of, I used it as a wave. So you got a wave over that little gesture sensor, and that will then transfer magically, of course, to that one. And then I'll say, okay, now which ones do you want to go from? And these will light up if they're, time to pick them. And these just say, hey, you're going from or to, and now it's ready to transfer. These are just some visual clues for the participants. So then you can transfer like from here over to there, or from here back to there. And, when you're ready, you just do the transfer. Once you get them, so it shows 4, the box opens up with a mag lock inside. This is my Mandrakes puzzle box. So this one is a simple RFID puzzle where you gotta get the right Mandrake guys, which just have little RFID readers on the bottom. And there's some other clues, these are little symbols, so you know which one is which. And of course you get the clue that helps you decipher how you figure out which one goes where. There's different colors with different names on the planters. With the only twist on this one is that when there's no reader in there, in other words, as soon as you pull one of these out and he's far enough away from the RFID reader, the sound screams. So the scream stops when you put them back in, but the box doesn't open until you get the 4 in the right place. So, every time you pull one out, they scream, put it back in. Most of these I have key switches. This one actually doesn't have a key switch. I think I just start it beforehand, but a lot of the other ones will have a key switch that you might get to turn on the box to begin with. This one is pretty simple, just to have it on ahead of time. Kind of fun. It uses the PN5180 RFID tags because it's just a little bit easier, better sensitivity on that one. With some modification and coding on a simple RFID puzzle. This one is a basic RFID with the, I can't remember what they're called, the RC522s, I think, which this one's dragon eggs. So Hagrid or whoever has favorite dragon eggs, and it's a logic puzzle too, but you gotta match. I got some back here. The right color dragon egg, which it has different RFIDs on the right place, and then it pops open the front of the box with a little mag lock on it. This one I call Hedwig's Theme. This was based on a audio sequencer puzzle by Alistair. I just picked a different song in this case. Instead of a phrase or a word, I just picked a sound file and Hedwig's Theme. They'll get some kind of clue somewhere so they know the song. And then these are just reed switches. I think I started with Hall sensors, but it just worked better with reed switches for me. And so you got to, it's, just tap your magic wand. So my magic wands have magnets on them. And you just, pick that one, and then that one might be the second part of the song, and then that. So there's 8 sequences here, or eight components to the puzzle. Some LEDs, which just, are green if it's the first part of the song. And if you then go to the second part of the song, it'll turn green if you got it right. If you got it wrong, it goes to red, and then you have to go back to the first one. So it's just a red and a green LED that tells you if you're right or wrong or making progress. I did put a simple start RFID tag here where Hedwig is. So the clue before, you get Hedwig here. And she has a RFID on the bottom. And if you place her there on her spot, that would turn on the box. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. And that's just based on a relay switch that happens once that goes. This is one of my other potions. This one is pretty simple. It's just it's a book, but on the inside, or a wooden book, on the inside, it just has a induction coil that when you created several potions here, you can see. Let's just find a basic one here. So you can see there's little induction LED lights that I put in there with epoxy. And the lights are a particular color, and when it's all on and you set it somewhere on the book, it will light up most of those. And inside it might be like purple lights or something. And essentially the clue object is, find the 4 or whichever number you wanted to, but the true color or something like that, where you might, they just have to go through the potions and find, oh, this one's purple, even though it looks pink on the outside. On the inside, it's a different color. Or, or Skelegro, this one you can see them a lot better, but those I believe are blue when you light them up. And so even though the whole thing is kind of clear, the lights will turn blue, and so it just gives you an option to find out which ones. And then from there, you just have to set up your clue to give you something that'll come from it. This one also is potions, but this is just a standard RFID puzzle potion. It comes with various other clues to try and figure out which potions you need. For instance, we've got some polyjuice. Now these have RFID tags on them. Some of the other ones do too, but of course they aren't the right ones. So, or at least they just have the stickers, so you can't tell. And the potions are kind of fun because, they're fun potions anyway. So, this one, let me get it shaken up here, but you can see they kind of mix and turn colors and things. So they're fun just in general. They're all sealed because I don't want any open liquids. But when you get the 4 potions that are the right ones, this one, it's instead of a box opening up or anything like that, there's a sound sequence that plays. Harry Potter's voice gives you some kind of riddle, and based on the riddle, you can unlock the box. While I'm here, I guess this one right behind it is based on Alistair's Blow Out the Candles puzzle. And it's exactly the same thing, other than I added some sound files and things. So you get your, from whatever box clue beforehand, that'll turn on the puzzle. All these will light up. And essentially the clue involved, blowing them out in the right sequence. I put little house markers on each of the puzzles, and so it might be like Hufflepuff, then Slytherin, and then maybe Ravenclaw, and then the last one you might have to blow out is Gryffindor. And then when you blow it out in the correct order, Harry gives you another clue from the sound module inside. And if it's wrong, they just kind of all light back up. Interesting fact on this one: the lights on the sound sensors inside have the little green LEDs, and so they're covered up for most of them, except for Slytherin's, because it looks kind of cool when Slytherin has a little background green glow in it to begin with anyway. Nonetheless, this one is actually not any kind of puzzle. It just was kind of neat. So when I was making these potions, you can mix them up and get them stirring. So I put little magnetic stirring rods in many of them. You probably can't see it. You might be able to hear it as it wiggles around in there. But this is just a pressure plate on here, and when it's turned on and you put a bottle, most of these are heavy enough that set it on the pressure plate, and of course if you get it in the right spot, it just kind of becomes a self-stirring potion, and it makes a little vortex and things. So there's quite a few options for that. So that one's just going to be out for effect. Couldn't really think of any particular puzzle to make with it, but it's kind of neat. Another potion one. This one's based on, I think it's called Crown Jewels that Alistair does, which is a color sensors. This one was kind of hard to come up with how to do it. All my puzzles are obviously portable, so I can take them with to the family reunion and those kind of things. This one, though, you got to have a constant same light source. Otherwise, if you move it upstairs to the funny yellow shadowy lights and stuff, the colors aren't going to read the same. And so I basically built just a simple, I can't even think what they're called, the lights that people use for their YouTube videos and stuff like that. But just something that they could turn on the light, and you're going to get a same light source no matter where you are, so I don't have to reprogram it every single time. And then I don't have the box on, but then I just have potions again. In this case, gems or colored acrylic things work well too. But each one of these little spots here are numbered, and then it has a light that'll light up with whatever color you put on it. And for instance, if you put the yellow light over it, and it's on, that'll light up yellow. And if that's the right sequence, you've got 5 different ones on here. And if you get all the right 5 correct, actuator will slide the box open, the slide box here. So kind of neat. Each of these don't have labels for part of the clue puzzle, but ultimately it makes for a good way to make a recipe, and you got to find the right potions based on the recipe, and then when you get them lined up, it's based on color. So that one's kind of fun, and certainly appreciate the ideas from Alistair. Let's see. This one is, I call it the crystal ball. They're not really crystal balls, but for divination class, these are the plasma balls, and it's based on Alistair's plasma ball puzzle, I think he calls it. Essentially, it's hooked up to measure currents, I believe. Could be resistance. Not great at the physics and electricity part, but it's a couple sensors on the inside that measure, I believe, the current as it comes through. And on these balls, when they're turned on, when you touch them, it changes the currents. And so the program is based on having both of them touched at the same time. And, so a little teamwork, they'll be spread out in the room. And when that happens, this one also has a actuator that opens up the box. As you can tell, I used a lot of wine boxes for these puzzles. Some of them I painted, some of them I got tired of painting and left them by themselves. This one is challenging to build from a battery standpoint because batteries drain. And when I first started trying to create it, and you'd get a drain in the the current or the battery. And so eventually it would just kind of start opening up on its own, and it was hard. So I played with various things to eliminate that factor in terms of its baseline read and things, because the baseline would keep changing, and or the overall current would keep changing. Eventually you'd have a big enough difference that it would interpret it as hitting the threshold. Ultimately, better batteries seem to mostly solve that problem. The straight 9-volt battery that they might have otherwise operated just fine with drained so quickly that it wasn't very practical. And a few other things that programming-wise helped that to eliminate that problem. There's quite a few puzzles. The sequence, I guess I got a couple others. Over here on the wall, I've got I call it a Starry Night. I think that's what Alistair calls it. It's basically another divination puzzle in this case, meant to represent either divination class or the starry Hogwarts Great Hall kind of ceiling. I think I'm going to hang some those candles and things from it. Ultimately, these are a whole bunch of regular LEDs, and then there's 4 programmable ones in there. And I'm using another RFID sensor that is hooked to different magic wand, the ones that turn on and off the infrared readers. That I have another magic wand remote, and on that remote, it triggers the programmable ones to start blinking, and so that then you can see the constellation or whatever, and they have, just like on Alistair's puzzle, a key that says, okay, it's this one, this one, this one, and this one, and therefore on their star map they can see what that correlates to, in this case numbers or something of that nature. I mixed in the other candles that'll be hanging from the ceiling, kind of the floating candle idea, so that those will turn on and off as well, but ultimately the clue comes from this puzzle. This down on the bottom, there's Luna, is just it's not really a puzzle, it's just a wand selection thing I created. Let's see if I can get a better view here. It's essentially just a board where you choose a wand. When you pick one, and all these have magnets on them again, you can kind of tap or come close to the, in this case, it's the a reed switch, and watch out, Luna. And that there's sound, and Harry or Ollivander basically will say, yeah, go ahead, give it a wave. And I've got an ultrasound sensor here, module, that if you wave or move something within like 50 centimeters, and a little sound sensor right there, that if you say anything, so if both of those things are happening, he'll randomly say, no, not that one, or yeah, and then if it's a yay, yeah, that works great, what happens is this little fan spins, and it's a colored fan and that kind of stuff, and people cheer and things like that. So that's just a pick a wand, and then I kind of have it set to randomly choose one, in the first 3 or 4 tries. And let's see, I guess here's workstation over here. The final kind of few ones I just still have over here, but it's a sequence of a few. Sorry, excuse the rest of the mess. This one, is another RFID puzzle, and it's got 6, so a little more complicated, but same principle. They get different objects. In these cases, they're the Horcruxes that will be placed in the different areas, read from underneath the box. Triggers a sound effect, and then it moves to the metal induction sensor, which is right in the middle. You take the sword, so there, something metal basically, and destroy or touch that. Inside, it's got a radio signal. I forget the name of that module. That then, when that's done, triggers this box remotely, basically, to light up saying it's ready, so to speak. And this is a conduction, I believe it's called, sensor, based on another one of Alistair's. In this case, it was the I Want to Hold Your Hand puzzle, I think he called it. That from the box are going to be wired to a couple different signs that you just have to be holding the metal. I think it's pewter mostly, but touching that human chain, maybe that's the name of the puzzle initially, that does the same thing over to this one. So these could be placed, several feet apart, and groups have to hold hands across the two. Once they do that, there's another radio frequency thing, and I forget exactly that module right there. I think it's a radio signal that ultimately will open the chest. This is right now got filled with a few odds and ends, extra potions and things, which is just a, get the signal and release the maglock chest. So that is the essence of the portable Hogwarts themed puzzle with, I guess I have a sorting hat too. Sorting hat is not really a puzzle, but I just bought one and inserted a few sound effects and things into it that randomize, when you put it on your head, how many, which class you're going to be in, with a few comments about your abilities as well. So, hope you liked it. I will try and post and answer any questions, and again, appreciate all of Alistair's components that helped me to do it.